get this sports podcast party started, all right?
The J Reels Podcast.
Why don't you wait until July 1st to make an announcement? What a disgrace. He can rack up all these numbers in October, November, and December, but what really counts is let me see this in January.
The sports rebel without a pause, delivering fast-paced, jam-packed sports talk like no other.
Listen, I got to call it as I see it. He is not a good player. I'm sick and tired of having to deal with the disappointment of this franchise. When does it stop? And yes, another winter that I can sleep in peace. Coming correct, directed in full effect. Let's get it.
This is the J Reels Podcast. Welcome aboard.
What is happening, my good people? Greetings. How are you? How's it going? How's everybody doing out there? What is the latest and greatest? Hope everybody's doing well, feeling fantastic, in excellent spirits as we approach the middle of August. Before you know it, it'll be here. The unofficial ending of summer. But no, let's not even get into that right now because we got a lot to unpack, even in the few sports that are on and popping at the moment. And I'm glad you stopped by to listen to it all, as this is the J Reels Podcast with Joe J Reels. For my first timers, welcome aboard. And for those who've been banging with me going back to the very beginning, somewhere in the middle, or even as early as this past Monday, I welcome you guys and gals back. And shout out to my guy, Waffle Iron, a.k.a. Rhoda Penmark, a.k.a. Minnesota Fats, Tatsuya Mai, Cowboy Bull, Dad's Chips, Everyday Mets, you name it. Fuqua Johnson, one of the diehards there in the room. I appreciate you big time, as you know, and you got a bunch of questions in reference to the Lakers, which I'm going to touch on in a little while. But good to see you here. Still researching. It's all good. Yeah, that Insta360 is a pretty cool camera. Not that I have one, but I've seen it, and it is actually pretty brilliant. So with that being said, let's jump right to it. And one of the things that I've been trying to focus in on this podcast, because I could talk about the Lakers, which I will. I thought about starting there. The NBA schedule, which I talked about yesterday on my live stream, every Wednesday, 12 noon. And yesterday was actually a really good one because I also had a special guest from Hot Girls Talk Sports, Bree, who is fantastic. And definitely check out her page on Instagram. And hey, Carolina, what's happening? I'm doing well on Twitch. I see you. And thank you for stopping by. I appreciate you. But when I thought to say, yeah, NFL preseason starts tonight, am I going to go there? Can I talk about the NBA schedule, which I did talk about a lot in detail yesterday? And I will touch on that. The interview that I had again from Bree, who was gracious enough to be with me for an hour. Hot Girls Talk Sports on Instagram. Check her out. She's doing big things and actually had a big announcement that she brought forth on her social media account, but here on the airwaves she shared last night. And for how long have I been streaming? I've been streaming a year and a half. All right, Christine Ava, welcome. I appreciate you. Now, and I'll get your comments momentarily. I just want to get this on the tracks to discuss baseball because what we've seen here over the last few days, I wonder if it's going to be a precursor to come over the last 7 weeks of this baseball season. Because as we've talked about here, where the American League, that is an absolute logjam with all those teams fighting for one spot. And the Red Sox coming back to the pack, not a little bit, actually a lot quicker than we expected, considering how torrid they had been up until last Saturday. I think I gave them the jinx, which I will talk about in a minute. But when it comes to this race, and there are teams now that are looking to either start to put themselves in second and third gear, or maybe there's others that are going to be somewhere behind the pack. And I'll break it down this way as I go through both leagues. With the Seattle Mariners here in town against the Yankees, and the Mariners, I can't say they're a dead team walking, but I have to say, I don't know if this team's going to click. And you've heard me talk about that over the last couple of weeks. This is a team that I picked to go to the World Series. And right now, they're looking like a team that's uninterested, that they don't even want to play. And I kind of hate to say it that way, but they have now lost 5 in a row. They got swept over the weekend by the Rays, on the verge of getting swept by the Yankees, where they'll have an afternoon tilt at the stadium, I believe 1:35. And what makes me think that they're going to come out and salvage that series to kind of get themselves back on the beam? I believe they're currently 7 games under 500. And yes, we've seen teams that have been at that point, but within striking distance of that final wild card spot. But I think Seattle, even with the wild card and even the division for that matter, and they have an enormous weekend series in Houston, which could decide their fate by the time we get to Monday's podcast. But Seattle, I look at a team that right now, if I'm standing at the shoreline and the ocean is Major League Baseball, and right at the front of the shoreline, I see all the boats and the kayaks, with those being the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Orioles, you have to throw them in there, the Twins, the Astros, but somewhere in the distance, way out yonder, if you're watching on YouTube and, of course, later on Spotify, yes, that is the Seattle Mariners. And they're not even on a boat or a kayak, a catamaran. Right now, they're on a raft. Better yet, not even a life preserver. And I understand that things could happen quickly, and they have a series this weekend that we'll talk about a little bit, but they have not shown me any fight, any spunk, any inspiration. Now, they've been in these games against the Yankees over the first two. Yesterday, they actually had a 3-0 lead and were up 5-3 before they split it up and lost 10-5. And then the night before, they were tied at 1 before the wheels fell off there late in the game. But I don't see this Mariner team clicking. I just don't. But watch me say that, similar to what I talked about the Red Sox on the channel there on Saturday, where I said, look at this team. They've won 9 in a row. They're 32-5. And since that point, they have not won a game. Now watch me put the reverse jinx on the Mariners. They'll win today. And then next thing you know, come Monday, they're going to be in first place. And not just in the wild card race, but in the division. The AL West that it is. So that is one team that I think is drifting out to sea. And another one I have to throw in there are the Pirates. That's in the National League. Now, the Pirates, we know that with Paul Skeens, who's having a down year, got pulled after 65 pitches the other day. Certainly not the Cy Young Award winner that he was last year to what he is this year. He's 9-11, has not pitched well here for quite some time. And when you don't have your top starter and arguably the best pitcher in baseball not clicking and not trying to put your team in as best of a position to try to make a run here in the National League wildcard race, that's curtains. And right now, they've lost the first 2 games in Miami, a team that's ahead of them in the wildcard standings. And as they are right now, with an afternoon tilt there at Lone Depot Park, hopefully avoiding a sweep in the process, there's another team that I see with the Mariners way out in the distance as far as the wild card. Now, mind you, I believe as of right this very second, let me pull up the standings here as I speak. They are currently 4 games back of the wild card. Not insurmountable, not a deficit that you're going to look at and say, oh, there's no way they're going to recover from it. But again, your best pitcher is not pitching well. They DFA'd Marcell Ozuna, who hadn't really contributed much. And the team, let's face it, they're gasping for air at this moment. And how I see it for the Pirates in the wild card scenario, and we'll see who they're going to play this weekend. In fact, I know who they're playing this weekend, and we'll talk about it later. They are currently, I said 4 back? No, how about 6 back? They've even surpassed the Reds, who the Reds were in that last spot there before you got to the bottom of the National League, which, of course, occupied by the Mets, Giants, and Rockies. But I have to say, with them being 6 under and drifting away, losers of 3 in a row, I don't see them bouncing back in any way, shape, or form to get in this race. So those are the teams that are trending south. As far as the teams that are trending north, to go back in the American League, the Blue Jays were a team that, although got a couple of pieces at the deadline, but they traded Kevin Gausman at the deadline. They looked like they were a team that was certainly in sell mode to know that we're not going to make it to the playoffs this year. that great run that they had last year to get all the way to a Game 7 in the World Series, that might as well have been 20 years ago. And for the Blue Jays to now have themselves in a position where they took 3 games, and I don't believe they're playing today. Let me just double check that. They actually swept the Red Sox, a team that is ahead of them in the wild card standings. And not to say that they're going to be any threat to them at the present moment, because they're still looking at the standings, 6 games behind them. But look at that. They made up 3 games here over the course of the early part of the week. Now, they do conclude their series this afternoon, which would be enormous, because if they do happen to win that game today, they'll inch a game closer to the Red Sox, where the Red Sox will come behind. And yes, I could talk about the Red Sox with this losing streak, but because they are 4.5 games ahead right now, there's nothing really to worry about. And we knew that this Red Sox team was going to cool off at some point. Now, we didn't think they were going to lose 5 straight. And I think that's an important game for the Red Sox today, because they don't want to go on the road to another team or to another city that their team is fading also. Start connecting those dots, people, as I just talked about a minute ago with the team that's fading in the National League. But when the Red Sox, as hot as they've been and now have cooled off considerably, not only was this expected, but you would only hope that they would now rally the troops to get out of Toronto with the win, to kind of exhale and say, all right, because you don't want to lose 6 in a row. You don't want to go to the next city having that feeling of, we can't get our own way. And all the hard work that the Red Sox have done to this point certainly doesn't go for naught. But now watch them pull off losers of 13 of 18, which now gets them in a situation where they're going to fall back to the pack in the wild card race, and certainly away from the Yankees and the Rays and the AL East. You can forget about that. But the last thing that the Red Sox want to do is have this ginormous streak come to a crashing halt, and then all of a sudden, now they're going to be scuffling with the Guardians, with the Twins, with the Orioles, and the Mariners for that matter. So that's the last thing they want to do. But this is about Toronto, and for the Blue Jays here, which is also important for them, because like I said, they'll move closer to the Red Sox. But more importantly, and as crazy as this is even to fathom, on Monday, this team was 3.5 back, 7 games under 500. And now here they are, 4 games under, 59-63. Now, that's nothing to write home about. But they are actually 1.5 back, 2 in the loss, but 1.5 back for the final spot there that is held right now by the Texas Rangers. And oh, by the way, even though they have the Guardians, Tigers, and Twins ahead of them, but with Texas holding that last spot at 60-61, and with Twins, Tigers, Guardians, Blue Jays, they're all separated by 2 games. I mean, to even think that that's the case here approaching the middle of August is mind-boggling. And then you have the Blue Jays, who are 2 back, the Mariners, who are 4 back, 4 in the loss 2, and in the division, let's talk about where Seattle at in the division. I didn't get into that. They're 5 in the loss, 5.5 back. So the division is starting to slip away, although a huge series this weekend in Houston. But it's all there for the taking. I mean, what more can you ask for if you're any one of these teams that are in the American League, to know that you, up to this moment, you've been awful. You've played horrifically. But now all of a sudden, it's still right in front of you. It's not a situation where you're the Pirates. Even the Mariners, as far off as I talked about that comparison, being out to sea, they could still turn it around. Pirates, I don't think as much as this present moment. And the Blue Jays, as much as we thought, oh, wow, here's the guys that they traded at the deadline. Oh, they're not looking to do anything big. Why even bother? Not to say they have regrets trading Kevin Gausman, but here they are. They're still in the thick of things. And then the other team, to go back to the National League, that's trending north. And the team that I'm sure that if they continue to play well and get that separation, similar to what we've seen here with the Red Sox and what they've done, I'm sure that the Padres would want to do that and then some, because they had been on the outside looking in prior to the start of this week. And with the Diamondbacks and Phillies still tied, and they previously had the 5th and 6th seed in the National League wildcard race. Well, now the Padres have leapfrog over them, where they have a game lead over both Arizona and Philadelphia. And San Diego did a tremendous job beating the Brewers and sweeping them in the early part of the week. And you wonder whether or not the Brewers are going to start to be on the downswing, not necessarily out of the playoff picture because they're going to win the NL Central, although the Cubs have played well and the Cubs are inching closer. But with the Padres, maybe now looking to see if this is their opportunity as they sit in that car, to use another metaphor, as I talked about a little while ago. Now they want to shift into gear, maybe to get into third, fourth, fifth gear to take off to where they could be that second seed because the Cubs are well ahead. They're 7.5 games ahead of both the Diamondbacks and Phillies, so they're going to be in cruise control, so you think. And maybe, who knows, they may have their eyes set on a division where the Brewers right now are coming back to the pack and they have a trip to L.A. for 4 games, which I'll talk about. But the Padres, I think, could put themselves in real good position to where they could separate themselves from the pack, that being Arizona and Philadelphia, and maybe getting that cushy middle spot between the Cubs and that 6th seed. And even though the Padres, with a lot of their up and down, and just like we've seen with a lot of teams here, and now they've won 5 in a row. We'll see who they play this weekend. I believe they have a day off. I don't think they have a 4-game series. Let me just double check that. No, they have a day off before they play tomorrow against a quality opponent on the road, I might add. But let's see if the Padres, for all their inconsistencies this year, for Fernando Tatis and his power surge going south, and for a team that a lot of people thought maybe they trade Mason Miller at the deadline, or maybe it'd be a scenario where the new ownership isn't going to go all in the way the previous ownership did and it won Peter Seidler, the dearly departed. And now I would think if I'm a Padre fan and I'm certainly part of that team, I'm thinking, come on, guys, let's not fool around. Let's see what we could do here. Not to say that they're going to try to catch the Cubs or even the Dodgers for that matter in the division. They can't look at it that way. But what they can look at is getting themselves in a position where even if they're going to be nestled in at the 5, but let that be the case and not fool around, not be a team that, yeah, maybe they'll get 2 games up, but then they go on a bit of a losing streak. They lose 5 of 7, and the next thing you know, they're tied with the Diamondbacks, or maybe the Diamondbacks have jumped ahead of them, or the Phillies. They don't want that. Right now, you just have your sights set on, we control our own destiny. Let's see how far we can go. If we catch the Cubs, great. If we catch the Dodgers, unlikely. All right, fine. But I want to be 4 or 5 games ahead of the 6th seed. And if we do meet the Cubs, which is probably the likelihood if they do happen to continue to stretch in the postseason, then so be it. Which, if you recall, that was the matchup we saw last year in the wild card round where the Padres lost 2 out of 3 at Wrigley. And the series would be at Wrigley again if they will hold form. Cheers, H2O, for those watching. So those are the teams I'm thinking right now that are trending north and trending south there in both the American League and National League. And yeah, we can talk about the Marlins a little bit as they've beaten the Pirates. And the Marlins right now just a game and a half back and 1 in the loss, which is actually bodes well. They do have the Pirates to close out their series today down in Miami. But the big picture here, when we're looking at before we get to the schedule and even some of the races at the divisions, how I see it, National League, Cardinals, 2.5 back. The Nationals, they're starting to drift. And I never really included the Nationals for some reason. And I know that may be unfair. Here I am talking about the Reds, but the Reds did make it into the playoffs last year. But I'm not even going to include the Reds right now. They are 5.5 back. I'm going to look at where we're at from 2.5 on because I don't expect the Nationals, once we get to, and I'll be generous, September 1st, I can see the Nationals being 8 or 9 back. And the same for the Reds. As we talked about Monday, they lost Hunter Green, who's gone for the year, their ace of the pitching staff. And the Pirates, like I said, they are right now looking toward next year, if there is a next year for that matter. So you got Cardinals 2.5 back, Marlins a game and a half back, Phillies, Diamondbacks tied, and then the Padres 1 up. That's the National League wild card. In the American League, as I pretty much stated, we know Yankees, Red Sox, Rangers, who hold that half-game margin over both the Twins and Tigers. And the Tigers have 2 games in hand on the Twins, and I'm sure they have plenty of matchups with them down the road. Now, the Guardians, they're a game behind and a half game behind the Twins and Tigers. Think about that. You have those 3 teams that play in the AL Central, and they're going to all battle out for that last spot. That, of course, includes the Rangers. Then you have the Blue Jays, as I mentioned, a game and a half back, with the Orioles 2 back. And I know the Mariners there, as much as I've pretty much have put them out the pasture, although I can't just yet, but who knows? After this weekend, we'll see. And with a closeout game against the Yankees before facing the Astros, we could probably start writing their epitaph once we get to Monday as far as the 2026 season goes. And that is your wildcard standings. Now, the divisions, we know where they stand. AL East, the Rays, they've been torrid. I talked about them on Monday, whether or not that they are a World Series threat. You'll have to go back to that to see for yourself or listen for yourself. But they've won 9 in a row. They actually swept. And I understand they beat bad opponents, but they swept their road trip from Colorado to Seattle to Sacramento. And they come home after a day off today where, come on, Rays fans, you got to show up to that ballpark. This team is 74-46. And right now, they absolutely, positively occupy the best record in the sport. Half game ahead of the Brewers, but still. Then in the Central, the White Sox are still doing well enough to where they're, although 3.5 ahead of the Twins and Tigers and then 4 ahead of the Guardians, but this is what you're going to look for most. They are 5 ahead in the loss of the Twins and Guardians, and only 4 ahead of the Tigers, which the Tigers are behind the Twins because the Twins have played more games and the Tigers have 2 games in hand on Minnesota. So you got to bear that in mind as this race unfolds. But the White Sox still has the top spot there in the AL Central. And then out west, you have the Astros, who are a game and a half and 5.5 up on Texas and Seattle. And the Astros, listen, am I 100% confident that they're going to win this division? I can't say I will, but right now it looks like it could be a battle between Texas and Houston, the battle of the state, unless Seattle has something to say about it. And they had that series forthcoming that could certainly change the fortunes, at least after this weekend, but they have to sweep. If they take 2 out of 3 of the game 1 game, that's not going to mean anything. They have to sweep that series in order for them to really take stock in that division. Now, the National League, the Central got interesting, as I mentioned, with the Cubs now 3 back of the Brewers, and the Cubs have played well here. They'll conclude their series against the Nationals, and they've beaten up on bad teams. They beat the Royals 2 out of 3 over the weekend. Now they've beaten the Nationals here to start off the week. But the Brewers, who have a tough series in LA, and I'll get to that momentarily, but that's the only race of note as far as the divisions go, because the Braves have a 10 in the loss, 9.5 game lead on the Phillies, where the Dodgers have a 9 in the loss and 8.5 game lead over the Padres. So those 2 division races are long gone. But the wild card, we all know, that is going to be a fight to the finish, we would think, unless you're going to have teams start falling and dropping like flies. But the schedule is going to be fascinating this weekend, and we'll go through today's schedule. Cleveland at Detroit, that's a rubber match. Let's see who's going to overtake who. Cleveland wins, they'll get that game back on the Tigers. If the Tigers win, they'll have a game and a half edge over Cleveland, but let's see where that falls in the standings when it comes to the Twins as well as the Texas Rangers, where the Rangers will play in Anaheim tonight. And you don't have, let me see. No, you do not have the Twins. They're off today. No, they're playing that's right. I forgot. Tonight is the Field of Dreams game between the Phillies and Twins there in Dyersville, Iowa. Game is on Netflix. So if you don't have Netflix, it's not on Fox like it was in years past. So you're going to have the old uniforms, the cornfields coming out. That is tonight at what time? Let's see. That game will be at 7:30. Aaron Nola against Taj Bradley. So at least you have that to look forward to if you want to be nostalgic, if you want to look at the old uniforms or scoreboards. I'm sure whomever's broadcasting, they'll wear the bow ties and the old derby hats, whatever. So Minnesota does have a game tonight, so we'll see where the after tonight where the wild card will stand there in American League. But the other games of note, you know about Seattle, New York, Pittsburgh, Miami, Reds in Chicago with the White Sox, Boston and Toronto, as you know, closing out this series, Chicago, Washington. And then you have Milwaukee at LA. And listen, I'm not going to look at this series as some precursor to what could lie ahead if they do meet in an NLCS. You know how I feel about how Milwaukee, where they stack up against the Dodgers right now. And the Dodgers, who knows, with Freddie Freeman, I don't know if you saw that play last night, pop up first base side. He's going to the dugout. You thought maybe he'd be by the railing, but as he tried to make the play, he actually fell into the dugout. And the cameras didn't catch how he landed, but it looked like that's a 5 or 6 step drop. And thankfully, it seems to be okay. Could be in the lineup tonight. Now we'll have to wait and see. I'm sure it's going to be game time, but that was a scary fall there by the Dodger first baseman, and hopefully everything will be all right, and he'll be in the lineup ready to go tonight against the Brewers. But I'm not going to look at this as an NLCS preview or get everybody pumped up to be like, ooh, let's see what's going to happen here if the Dodgers take 3 out of 4, or if the Brewers take 3 out of 4, or if one of the two teams sweep, which is it out of the realm of possibility? Chances are, but we did see Milwaukee sweep the Dodgers the whole season series last year, and then the Dodgers returned the favor, as you know, in the postseason. But that's one to keep an eye on to see how those two teams stack up here in the middle of August as we get into the weekend. So we'll certainly take a peek at that when we get to Monday's podcast. But the other series of note for the weekend, Cardinals and Cubs. Cardinals, you know, 2.5 back. Cubs are way out in front, so it's not as if the Cardinals are going to catch them. Miami and Cincinnati. Boston at Pittsburgh, the team that's been in a downswing, losing 5 straight, maybe 6 if they leave Toronto with a loss. And then Pittsburgh, as I mentioned, the team that's out to sea. White Sox at Detroit. Big series. Now, I understand they're 4 back in the standings, but they get inch closer. They got to win 2 out of 3 minimum. If they sweep, that'll put a dent into that lead for sure. So if you're a Tiger fan, to my guy J-Rod and Fishing Angel, his lovely wife out in Michigan, that is a series where you're going to hope to sweep. And Jackson Jobe on the mound, who came back after Tommy John with a very efficient performance there on Sunday. So we'll keep our eyes out on that. Baltimore at Tampa. San Diego at Cleveland. Interesting series there. San Diego 5 in a row. Day off today. They play there in Cleveland after them concluding their series against Detroit. Let's see how they fare. If they could, like I mentioned, gain some distance against the D-backs and Phillies. Then you have Arizona and Atlanta. Not bad. Yeah, Washington, New York, who cares? The Mets. Yankees in Toronto. Toronto's going to need those games. Seattle at Houston. Seattle has to sweep. Even if they lose today in Yankee Stadium, they have to sweep the series. No ifs, ands, buts. If they want to be part of the discussion in the AL West. That's it. That's all. So, and I don't see that happening. Although I'm not in love with Houston. And where they're pitching George Kirby tomorrow. Saturday. Jesus Luzardo against Connor Prelip. Yeah, so, excuse me. I got that wrong. That's Philly, Minnesota. Wrong game, guys. My apologies. Emerson Hancock, Hayden Wesnenski. And listen, the Astros are pitching guys that I've never laid my eyes on. Peter Lambert, another guy. So, Seattle, what are you going to do? What are you going to say? Pitching matchups favor you. How about you do something and take a stand for your season here, as it's literally on the line here starting today, but even more so when you get to Houston there later tonight. Texas at Athletics, Kansas City at LA to play the Angels as they conclude their series against their series against the Dodgers last night. Colorado, San Francisco. And then Philly, that Philly-Minnesota series, although it begins tonight, but they'll have a day off tomorrow and then conclude the series in Minnesota, the final 2 games there over the weekend. And that'll do it. That is your baseball in a big, giant nutshell, people. So you got some series to look after, got some series that you want to sink your teeth into, and certainly come Monday, we'll recap it all. So that's what you have there, or what's with what's happening on the diamond. Bio, I see here, is Russell Westbrook a Hall of Famer? I think so. Bluntly, he is, without question. And I'm going to get to Russell Westbrook in a moment as far as his career is concerned. Carolina, I appreciate that. Or I know Christine Ava, excuse me. If you're still with us. Create graphics. All right. Yes, please do, Carolina. I appreciate that. Follow on Insta. All right. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I know I'm not talking on Twitch. I'm right now on another platform at the moment, but I see your comments. Please show me. Send that. I know you said you already sent it. I appreciate that, and I'll definitely take a look at that and be in contact. Thank you. All right, now let me lace up the high tops, some NBA news, and quite a bit this week when we break it all down. I want to start with the Lakers sale. And I didn't talk about the Yankees, come to think of it. With what happened there, they got this group to pretty much settle whatever debts and things of that nature. So I'll save that for another time. But the Lakers, when word came down that the team was sold to Josh Kushner, the brother of Jared Kushner, who is the son-in-law of the the leader of the free world. I got it backwards. I was about to say freeloader of the free world. That wouldn't have come across rather smoothly. But he and Bob Iger, yes, that Bob Iger of Disney, who runs ABC, ESPN, etc. But for Mark Walter, who bought the team, and it was official, what was it? I believe October, sells the team for $12.5 billion, which to me was similar to the Luka Doncic deal in the middle of the night on February 1st, 2025, to where nobody saw this coming. Why did Mark Walter decide to say, you know what, I want to sell this? Now, he's part of a federal investigation for tax fraud. Shocker. Kind of hate to say it in that regard. Excuse me, but you know, when it comes to these billionaires, they always have their hands in all these different pots, and you know, the disease of more. I couldn't even say that correctly. One more time, Jay Reels. The disease of more. That a lot of these billionaires, they just can't get enough. Please, if they want to get that much more money, or they feel like, oh, I only have $10 billion, I got to get more. Well, send some of that my way. You know, I'm looking for a studio space. I'm looking to have guests to come into my studio space, to host in my studio space, to be able to, you can write that off quick, fast, in a hurry. Come on, guys. Mark Walter to Steve Cohen. I know I've said some bad things about you, not in personal, just business, Steve Cohen. But anyway, but for Mark Walter to sell the team at this juncture, not even a year that he's had it, obviously very dubious, even suspicious, and who knows? We know how much he's worth. He owns the Dodgers among the Sparks and a lot of other entities that he has his hands in. But I don't know. Does he feel like whatever settlement's going to have to come out of it, because maybe he is guilty, that by selling the Lakers to the aforementioned Kushner and Iger, which he actually got $2.5 billion on top of the $10 million that it was sold for, maybe he's going to use that to pay for his lawyers. I don't know. Now, I say that tongue in cheek, because I don't know the ins and outs of this federal investigation. And obviously I know nothing about his assets, his bank. We know what he owns and things of that nature. But for all I know, he's probably spent more than he's earned. And therefore, use the Lakers as that chip to be like, well, maybe I need to use this. And I'm just speculating. I don't know for sure. So whether this gets aggregated or not, I could care less. If it does, fantastic. If it doesn't, all right, so be it. But very strange, weird, peculiar how this all came about. Who the hell knew that the Lakers were for sale? And did Mark Walter have Bob Iger on the speed dial to say, hey, you want to help a brother out? I'm thinking about selling the team. If you and somebody else can come up with the money, I'll sell it to you for $12.5. And Bob Iger said, hey, I'm going to jump on it. Now, that's me saying this from afar and not knowing the ins and outs or being privy to any of the information that's happening behind the scenes. But how else could this deal have come about? Seriously, were there other people in line? Was it a situation where Walter made that one phone call or had a couple of people in mind and that was it and kept it on the hush until, all right, Iger, Kushner, sold? Because I'm sure you probably would have had other people involved, but because I'm sure Hollywood, Disney, those guys, I'm not going to say that they're lockstep, but I'm sure they've crossed paths quite a bit and thought to cast a line probably out to Iger more than Kushner. Kushner's 41 years of age, and even though he's got his own deal going on with the venture capital group, but similar to the Luka trade, where it was between the aforementioned, the erstwhile GM, Nico Harrison of the Mavericks, and Rob Pelinka, where I'm sure 28 other teams would have been like, hey, I trade for Luka too. How come we weren't called? And that's how I look at the situation with Walter and Iger, again from afar, because how else did this deal come about? This wasn't rumored. This wasn't in the news cycle. This wasn't, oh, Lakers up for sale again. What? Wait, who? Wait, what happened? No, you just wake up yesterday morning and all of a sudden, Lakers sold for $12.5 billion. What? This guy just bought the team 20 minutes ago. And again, I don't want to attribute it to him selling this team because he's in dire straits. I mean, he owns the Dodgers. But who knows? Maybe with this impending investigation or this ongoing investigation, and not only that, but he just wants to make sure he has all his bases covered, no pun intended. I don't know. That's how I see it. And for the Lakers, how does this look long term? I know Luka Doncic and I know Waffle Line came out with some comments saying that imagine buying the Lakers for $10 billion, selling it 11 months later for a $2.5 billion profit. How did this deal come together? I hope I answered that for you. And why is he selling the team literally 14 months after purchasing it? And what does this mean? Anything for Luka Doncic? No, Doncic came out with a comment saying that, oh, I'm looking forward to the ownership, supporting the team, doing whatever it takes to bring a championship back to LA, saying all the right things. Yeah, and Josh Kushner, he's going to have to sell his minority share of the Heat without question, which I'm sure he'll do so in a heartbeat. I'm sure there's people that he knows that will be lined up to buy that sliver of the Miami Heat. And then LeBron James leaving the Lakers caused the sale? No, I don't think so. Yeah, to me, I wouldn't think so. I can't say that'd be the case. So that's the deal with the Lakers. Now, I talked about this yesterday, and for those who watched the live stream yesterday, I'll do my best not to regurgitate, but it's going to be kind of hard to do so. But I thought the NBA schedule makers, boy, did they fumble, bumble, and stumble this. I'm sorry. To have, first off, opening night is now opening day. Opening night is usually the team that wins the championship. They have the first game, and the nightcap is the nightcap. So you have your NBA doubleheader to start your season. Fantastic. Why in the world did the NBA decide to put a game at 3 p.m. on a Tuesday? And as I said yesterday, I know the NHL dabbled last year in putting a game at 5, 7:30, and 10. And that 5 o'clock game was Chicago at Florida, where the Panthers raised the banner there for their second straight Stanley Cup. All right, you want to put them there at 5? All right, fine. Because they're the defending champ. Doesn't have the same appeal that the NBA, but all right, great. To have Celtics Pistons at 3, I'm not going to say it takes the shine because nothing's going to take the shine off the Knicks fan. The Knicks fan is still celebrating 2 months later. In fact, today's the anniversary, 2 months of the days when the Knicks won that elusive championship that took 53 years in order for them to attain. But does it take a lot of the starts out? It does not. But to know that that game starts off today, then why? Why? You want to expand the schedule? To me, it made no sense. They didn't need to do that. And I get it that 6:30 is the banner raising, and then you're going to have the ring ceremony, and 7 o'clock is the game. Sixers Knicks, a game that I don't love, and I understand why they did it. But what makes it worse, and this was what I was afraid of, and mind you, the rest of the schedule comes out today. I don't think it's out just yet. They would have made an announcement. Let me just double check that while we have you here live, correct, direct, and in full effect. No, schedule's not out. Let me pull up a team here real quick just to confirm that. So let's go to the Knicks schedule. The preseason schedule's out, which we don't care. Regular season, drum roll. Yeah, they have some regular season games out because a lot of that has to do with the NBA Cup scenario. So, and yeah, the only other games that the Knicks have right now, they play at Boston on the 23rd. So that Friday after the opener, which, all right, that's on Prime. And then October 30th, which kicks off the NBA Cup, that 5-week sprint to the semifinals and finals, which is now going to be played at Hinkle Fieldhouse in Butler to kind of give it that old school feel. Not only that, but it only seats, a handful of thousand. So it's not like it's going to be in a big arena, 17,000, where they have to cord off and tarp the upper deck, which is going to look bad for TV. But to go back to it, they play Philly not only on opening night at the Garden, as we all know, but then 10 days later they played in Philadelphia. So half of the games between Knicks and Sixers are already done before you get to Halloween. And what are they going to do? We're going to stretch out. The next game's going to be what? After the Super Bowl? And then maybe in April? I mean, come on. That should have been the opening night game. I thought maybe they put Miami there. I thought maybe that they would have another team there. You could have put the Celtics there, but even then, no. And I get it. They put the Sixers there because of LeBron, because of Jaylen Brown. To me, by putting the Celtics Pistons first and then to have Sixers Knicks there, I didn't like it. And then you have Philly playing 10 days later in Philadelphia to start this NBA Cup nonsense. Oh, terrible. But now the bigger picture is Christmas Day. And I was hoping Spurs Knicks. I got that. But you got it at 12 noon. And I know a couple of people on the channel, when I posted that the other day on YouTube here, at JReels, of course. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. But they have the game at noon, and even though the Knicks fans say, hey, Knicks on Christmas at noon, I'm fine with that. That game should have been at 8 o'clock, prime time. They should have said, the hell with the NFL. Spurs, Knicks, the NBA, it's going to attract our fans to watch that game and not get lost in the shuffle. I mean, think about this. You have a marquee game, an NBA Finals rematch, where it's in Madison Square Garden. And I only hope when the rest of the schedule comes out today, and I'll be a bone of contention, and I'll be sure to put that in a short later today when I see the schedule. I hope to the basketball gods that the Spurs-Knicks matchup on Christmas Day is their first matchup of the year. If they play in November, or if they play even in October, and I understand they have to, and they probably won't, but hopefully they won't play until after Christmas, the second game in San Antonio. That will be a flat-out terrible error on the NBA's part. Because if they already play one game before you get to Christmas, it steals the joy out of the game. You want that first matchup in the Garden with Wembanyama, the new villain in New York, to be front and center. Spotlight should have been primetime, but it's going to be at 12 noon. So people on the West Coast, they're not going to even care. They're going to wake up. They're going to turn on their coffee maker. The kids are going to unwrap their gifts, start making their French toast or oatmeal, whatever it is they're going to do. And then, oh, by the way, there's a game on. Knicks, Spurs. And who knows, by then they'll realize that the game is on. It's close to halftime, but then they're going to say, oh, wait, 1 o'clock is Packers-Bears. I'd rather watch Packers-Bears because the game could be in a snowstorm for all we know. I mean, it's just a terrible job. And then the other bad job that they had, Sixers at Lakers? Really? Does anybody care about LeBron going back to LA? I don't. I get he was there the last 8 years. I get it. Won a title in the bubble and broke the Kareem scoring record. And I do not care. That game on Christmas should have been Sixers at Celtics. Jaylen Brown's first game back at TD Garden. That should have been it. And hopefully that would have been a case where that would have been their first matchup. Don't have it on a normal Friday night or Tuesday night or no. Oh, man, they blew that so bad. They could have put OKC, LA at 5. And I understand they could put that at 5:30 because you have Rams, Seahawks that night. And I believe that game's in Seattle, so it's not going to conflict with the game at Staples Crypto to where it'd be at SoFi. But, all right, you have Lakers local time, 2:15, and then at 5:15 or whatever it may, 5:30 local time, you'll have Rams, Seahawks. Fine. But could you have the Thunder there instead? And you would have had it this way. You would have had 12 o'clock, put Oklahoma City, or now you have to move Oklahoma City out of there. Have the first game be whomever at Minnesota. I understand the game will start 11 a.m. local time. Tough. Or you want to put an East Coast game there? This is what you could have done. Cleveland at Miami or Miami at Cleveland. That could have been your 12 o'clock game. Your 2:30 game could have been the Sixer Celtic game. The 5 o'clock or 5:30 game would have been OKC, LA. And then you would have had 8 o'clock prime time Spurs Knicks. Come on. It's not rocket science. And I don't want to hear, oh, well, we made sure that. But no, I don't want to hear nonsense. I wish I could have the NBA schedule maker on to ask, what went into the thinking of having a 3 o'clock game to start off the season before the Knicks raised their banner to the rafters? And then how did you screw the pooch on Christmas Day? And then your 10:30 game could have been whatever, Nuggets hosting Minnesota. That's it. Unbelievable. Anyway, let me get to Russell Westbrook. Now, Russell Westbrook retires from the NBA, played on 7 teams. So I don't know. Is he going to go in as a... Now, it's different. It's not like baseball. You wear a cap. He's asked to go in as a Thunder. He played there 11 years, won his MVP there. Played in his only finals in Oklahoma City way back in 2012. The all-time leader in triple-doubles was, he had 209. And that's going to get surpassed one day, whether it be by Nikola Jokic. I'm sure he's probably second all-time. Or maybe third, depending on where Oscar Robertson is. Oscar Robertson, I believe, had 181. So, let me look that up. Let's have some fun with this. But as far as Russell Westbrook, listen, here's a guy that had energy to burn, a guy who was 6'3", but athletic as all can be, competitive fire, a guy that could jump out of the gym, even at his size, I'm not going to go as far as saying he was a freak of nature when it came to his athletic ability, but he was a guy that, not spectacular with his dribble, but if he's coming down court with a head of steam, even if he is 6'3", 215, or whatever his weight is, that guy was a force. He was a guy that at times was unstoppable. But at the same time, Russell Westbrook was his own worst enemy. And today's not the day to pile on him. I don't want to pile on Russell Westbrook. The guy, I believe, was top 75 all time, MVP. I gave you all the numbers. He's a Hall of Famer. To me, there's no ifs, ands, buts, maybes about it. The guy was dominant. And if I look at his career numbers, I'll even pull that up too. In fact, Nikola Jokic, look at this. He's 11 behind Russell Westbrook all time. So he's going to surpass that by the time you get to the new year, maybe even before that. But Russell Westbrook, let's take a look at his career numbers. I believe he ended his career 20-8. Did he not? For his career, 20 points, 8 assists. 20.9, 8 assists. I believe there's only 2 people in the history of sport that's done that. And one of them is Oscar Robertson as a point guard. So, the guy's a lock Hall of Famer. There's no ifs, ands, buts about it. And he was what? All NBA. How many times? Second team All NBA. Can we expand this? I tell you what, this basketball. Here we go. He was All NBA, first team All NBA. 1, 2. Only twice, huh? Okay. And then he was second team 1, 2, 3, 4, and then third team twice. So listen, he was an All NBA, whether first team, second, or third. So he's a top 15 player in the sport 9 times. Won an MVP. I think the guy's a Hall of Famer. And he's got some black type around him. Led the league in assists 3 years. Field goal attempts. The only thing about Westbrook is that he was very streaky, not a good outside shooter. I mean, he had his moments, three-pointers. I mean, listen, he never made 40%, but career, what was he? 30%, which is not good. But listen, Westbrook was electric, was an excellent player. I understand, was more of a numbers guy. Definitely was shooting for triple doubles, I'm sure. First player to have a triple double in a full season since Oscar Robertson. I believe he did it in what, 61, 62? But no, he's by far a guy that is a lock Hall of Famer. So that's your NBA. Now let me put on the helmet and shoulder pads as I get to, and I'll get to all your comments afterwards, I promise. And I also have a special guest, another guest coming, 12:30. So you got to keep that in mind, 12:30 p.m. And it's a guest you're familiar with too. So I want to give this person an opportunity to get a few things. And I'm sure if you've watched, you know who I may be referring to. But helmet and shoulder pads. I'm sure there is quite a few football fans out there today that are going to post on their social media accounts, whether it's a meme, a GIF or GIF, GIF, videos, or maybe even just a quote, where they're going to come out and break out their NFL pom-poms to say, are you ready for some football? And you guys and gals know how I feel about that. Is today, all of a sudden, week 1 of the NFL? It is not. In fact, anniversaries today. 2 months ago today, the Knicks won. And a month from today, to me, in my eyes, the season will raise the curtain. Well, the curtain's season will be raised. You know what I mean. September 13th. I'm looking forward to that day. I know the season begins on the 9th, Wednesday, Patriots Seahawks. And the following day, you have Rams-Niners in Australia, which I know Val brought up in the chat room. But to me, it's all about September 13th. That's the feel. That's when you wake up that day. And I have the old NFL Films music, which I haven't played over the last few years because it was on CD. And I think I transferred. I have the file somewhere. But I used to play the NFL music, John Facenda, the voice of God. And yes, that's when I could shed a tear that the summer is coming to a close, but also think that, all right, it's a new football season. But today is not the day to rejoice. Today is not the day to say football is back. It is not. We can say that we got something to watch if you're into preseason football. And I have to have a little bit of a vested interest because of what I do on the side with the Steelers Latest. Check them out on YouTube, the Fan Arch Podcast Network, Steelers Latest, hosted by, that's right, pointing at me, yours truly. Another episode just came up today. I talked a little bit about the game tonight and how the Packers will invade Acrisure Stadium to play the Steelers. But should we really care? Should we really look at the preseason as a time to scrutinize those draft picks or players that have been brought on the new teams? We know we're not going to see the starters. We know that by the time you get after the first couple of series, you're going to be, what am I watching? I'd rather watch paint dry. And that is true. But the same goes for exhibition baseball because I do not watch that. I do not watch preseason basketball. And I used to watch preseason hockey because that's when back in the day, you had the tough guys that were trying to fight for a roster spot. They would go out there and try to wreak havoc on the ice and get into it with the opposing team's tough guy or tough guys. And yeah, I was all about it. But those games don't matter. They don't count in the standings. But if there is one thing that I always do look out for when it comes to preseason football in particular, and even if it's a situation where the starters aren't playing and it's more second and third stringers, etc., is don't get hurt. You just hope, fingers crossed, and pray that none of your players get hurt. Whether that's season ending, whether that's going to be on the PUP list, physically unable to perform, whether that means they're on the injured list, all that, or IR, injured reserve. That's the one thing as a fan, you just hope and pray, and not that you're going to come out scot-free, because there's still 2 more preseason games to go where the starters will play, you would think, come the third game. But all you can hope for is that your team gets its reps, is productive, doesn't get embarrassed. You're not losing 30-6 at home against the Packers. And even if that was the case, it doesn't count to the standings. But for all those out there that think football is back, and yes, we are talking football. I said that a couple of weeks ago. Oh, is it time to start bringing the NFL into our consciousness? I believe I put that on the live stream 2 weeks ago yesterday. And I did. And we have been talking football. But am I going to break down these games? Now, I know last year was all the rage. Oh, Shedeur Sanders against Carolina, this, that, and the third. Oh, come on, people. Really? I understand you want to get an angle. I understand it's about stories. I understand it's about, oh, look what Shedeur. As it is, Deshaun Watson's going to start. And who does Cleveland play? I don't even know. I couldn't even tell you. But, just for the hell of it, I'll bring it up. The Browns open up their preseason schedule, whether it be tonight or tomorrow. In fact, it is not tonight. It is not even tomorrow. It is Saturday in Windy City against the Chicago Bears. And the Steeler game will be on NFL Network, so I'll tune into that tonight, 7 o'clock, to get a feel for my beloved black and gold, who I guess, I got to be on top of, considering I have the Steelers' latest show that, to inform everybody, I can't just say, who cares about the preseason? Let's talk about the backup tight end. Yeah, maybe the diehard fan wants to hear that, but no, I'm sure they want to get a little bit of a analyze or a breakdown of the game, or at least from what I've seen. So, and I'm not going to break down the schedule, people. I'm not going to do that for you. I'm going to spare you with that. But that's what you have with the NFL. I don't think there's anything else of note to discuss. Oh, there is one thing I do want to discuss, and this is a bit off the beaten path, but I have to bring this up. And then I'll get to all the comments and usher in our guest at the bottom of the next hour. I'm on YouTube the other day, and I noticed that Amazon Prime, I believe in mid-November, is releasing a movie about none other than John Madden. No, it's not the Madden documentary that came out a few years ago. It is a movie of an actor portraying John Madden. And you have an actor that's also portraying Al Davis. You're with me? Bear with me here. So when I saw the thumbnail for the trailer, I looked at the guy and I said, no, that can't be who I think it is it? The guy that's playing John Madden is none other than Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage? They should have gotten Frank Caliendo, who does a very good Madden impersonation. I understand he's not an actor, and I jest when I say that, but we know Nick Cage. We know storied career, iconic to a certain extent. We know the movies, not to break it all down. But watching that trailer, and I get it, it's a mockery. This isn't going to be in the annals of the Academy Awards or anything like that. I get that. I understand. But the little that I saw of him portraying John Madden in his trailer, he was brutal. I don't know if I'm going to be able to watch an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes or 2 hours of this. To me, the mannerisms just weren't there. And I understand there were a couple of clips. I got to watch it in greater detail. But, you may have to avert your eyes if you're going to watch this trailer. And now that I'm cluing you guys and gals in on this, because, I don't know. And the guy who plays Al Davis, who's a fine actor in his own right, is none other than Christian Bale. Has the headpiece, which was weird because there was a moment in the trailer where it looked like Christian Bale had that horseshoe where he had no hair in the top, but you get the horseshoe if you're watching here on YouTube or on Spotify later on, where he had no hairline. He had the horseshoe effect where he had the hair on the sides and in the back. And I don't know if Al Davis got hair plugs at one point, but I remember him even later on before he passed away in 2011. I'll never forget when he passed away. I was actually out of town during that time, but he was never bald. Did the producers, directors, I mean, how bad are they going to screw this up? Al Davis, if you know, he had that comb over deal. It looked like it was spray painted and all that. You know, had the black hair. He had the glasses, as you know. Always had that Raider windbreaker. But unless my eyes were deceiving me, Christian Bale playing Al Davis, all right, that's fine. But why is he bald? And the glasses that he had on weren't the vintage glasses with the, looked like they were almost diamond studded and blinged up. And it had the eyeglass holder attached to them. I don't know. But I just thought to throw that out there. It's a slow news day. NFL slow. Am I going to talk about Zay Flowers hurting his quad day to day and Laramie Tunsil with a torn tricep? I mean, I am not going to do that. But this Madden thing had me just, I can't even put into words right now. So check it out for yourself. The Madden trail. It's a teaser trail. I believe it's a teaser. Oof. Rough. All right. So Waffle Line, I hope I answered all your questions if you're still with us there about the Lakers. And he's going camera shopping for his e-bike. And I asked him about the Insta 360, as you see my comment there. He's still researching, but it's on his list. And of course, Carolina who is Christine Ava, joined us earlier through Twitch. I appreciate you for that. Valkyries won yesterday. Val, greetings. Watched third and fourth quarter. I was in the movie theater watching Moana. Nice. And as you know, the Valkyries have been playing exceptional. Let's see. Wait, what is this? Yeah, that was the edit. Is Mets fading away or Giants? Well, the Mets did lose 2 out of 3 to Atlanta. And the Giants. Wait, don't they have a game? No, they don't have a game today, right? Yeah, I think they're off today. And they play Colorado tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, after playing, when they play Houston yesterday and losing 2-1, they do not play today. They play tomorrow at home against the Rockies. All right, so we got that squared away for Val. And then, yeah, Ricky Pearsall, it's a tough break for the kid. Remember last year he got shot. I think he was coming out of an autograph signing there in downtown San Francisco, and somebody approached him and shot at him, was able to survive that. And then now, thoughts on his surgery, PCL. Don't know how long he's going to be out, but that is tough for the young kid. Bio, greetings. And of course, Russell Westbrook, Hall of Famer. I think so. And yes, I definitely do too. How could the league even allow an ownership? Hashtag fixed. No, it's a good question. But obviously, when you're dealing with that type of money, and of course, if Bob Iger's name is attached to it, I mean, what does the NBA say? If I had $20 billion and I said, hey, Mr. Walter, I want to buy the Lakers. He's going to look at me like, who the hell are you? Where Bob Iger and even to a certain extent, I guess, Josh Kushner, they know that they could banter back and forth and certainly maybe get a deal in place. But you're right. That was on nobody's radar, just cropped up, and boom, Lakers sold. What? Yeah, very strange. That's right. 49ers and Rams 4 weeks from today. Down under. Yeah, I know it's incredible how quick the NFL season is coming. I have my ultrasound global out appointment. All right. Yes, hope all is well with you, Val, with your appointment. Wishing you the best. You know that. Now, yeah, put Val, yep. I remember when Russell Westbrook showed up at UCLA from losing her high school. He was raw and athletic. Darren Collins' backup. Yeah, no, I remember that too. Kevin Love was on that team. And listen, Westbrook's had a phenomenal career. He really has. And I understand he bounced around a lot in the last 4 or 5 years. Lakers, the Wizards, what's the team he's on last year? Jeez. Also the Clippers, too, he played for. Denver. I mean, the guy's been around. Which, I mean, let's be honest. It tarnishes it a little bit, but we still know how great of a player he is. And I don't want to pile on him by any means, but no, he's had a great career. Never took a playoff. One player literally played hard his whole career, start to finish. I agree, Bio, 1,000%. You hit it right in the head. Made you uncomfortable. What is happening? And then we got Ray. Hello to you too. Greetings. Gerardo Jr. actually hit the ball yesterday. Well, all right, good. Yeah, that's what we want to see. Nick Cage can act when he wants to. Check out Pig. No, I haven't seen that. Oh, jeez. Nick Cage's best movie was Peggy Sue Got Married. And then Uncomfortable says Snake Eyes. Yeah, that's the thing. Let me see. If I had Nicolas Cage's best movie, probably Face Off with John Travolta. That was excellent. I don't know if you want to go back. Early work, Moonstruck. Even before that, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, when he went under as Nick Coppola. Yes, of Francis Ford Coppola fame. Yeah, I think I'm just sitting here just trying to think about what was some of the other, like the Con Airs and The Rock and, movies like that. Snake Eyes, yes. Make you feel uncomfortable. The Novice Greetings. It was said that they had to finalize their expansion offer. And Cole Walter Sunday Night made an offer. Is that right? Interesting. And the league does want to expand, whether it's Vegas, Seattle. Yeah, I'm just thinking, what is another team? Vegas, Seattle. Team out in the East. That'll come to me. When is this NBA schedule coming out? I need to know. Yeah, then you have, I didn't talk about Kyler Murray getting to start preseason over J.J. McCarthy. Yeah, Pierce Hall after surgery, road back starts now. Yeah. No days off. All right, Freeman in good spirits after falling to the dugout. Yeah, I'm just looking at this highlight here again of Freeman. It's crazy how, look at it. He's, man. And that's concrete, too. That's not padded steps. That could have been a lot worse. Wow. Yeah, no, nothing else is going on. I should turn on the TV in a little bit just so I can get the afternoon games. Which game will I watch? Yeah, but I should turn on that Cleveland-Detroit game. Uh-oh. You ready for this? Ranking the top 50 players 2026 is ESPN. All right, I'm going to go backwards. I'll go to 10, 14. Hold on. All right, here we go. Ready? Number 10, Chris Sale. All right. 9, Cam Schlittler. Are these pitchers only or was James Wood 8? Junior Caminero 7. Christopher Sanchez 6. Bobby Wood Jr. 5. Jacob Mizorowski 4. 3, Yordan Alvarez. He's had a monster year. 2, Pete Armstrong and Shohei Ohtani's on. All right. What is there to argue about that list? Listen. All right. Yeah, that's going to do it, people, until we get to our guest at the bottom of the hour. The Rock with Sean Connery is the best? Yeah. Yeah, it's 1996, I believe. Today at 3 o'clock supposed to come out. Okay. Thank you, Ray. Good to know that. All right. Should I? 12-11. Just trying to think what else I can get into here. NFL. Yeah, Deshaun Watson, you know about. Rodgers on return to Lambeau has to be an invite. Right. Let's see what we got here. Uh-oh. Spurs. Yeah, I want to know that second Spur Nick game. Yeah, I know. Now you're starting to see the schedule come out in drips and drabs. Let me see. Spurs. The Pelicans. I think those games are overseas. They play on the 14th and 17th. Yeah, in Paris and then in Manchester. Yeah, I need 3 o'clock. I can't wait that long. Can you tell me how first you are when? Oh my God, waffle iron. Yeah, I think by February 27th it is? Yeah, that was a killer. They're going from 4 to 8,000. I may have to do a 24-hour live stream. Which reminds me, next Thursday, how about we do a forum for those that are interested? Leave it in the chat box. Say I'm in. If you don't say I'm in, that means you do not want to participate. But next Thursday, I'm not doing it on the podcast. We'll do it more prime time, maybe 8 o'clock Eastern. Bio's in 8 o'clock Eastern next Thursday. And of course, I'll announce it. I'll make a big thing about it. So we'll get everybody, J-Rod, everybody wants to jump on board. So this is separate from the podcast. This is just us getting together, chopping it up. Tell your family, tell your friends, tell everybody. I'll make sure to get the link out. If not, Monday night, Tuesday morning at the latest. And then Bio Dusty May. Yeah. I know. I mean, come on. I wonder how J-Rod feels about that, because Dusty May, for him to say that, oh, the Big Ten is a mess, all the guys that were on that team, the big guys, were recruited elsewhere. Those were all NIL guys that came over. Those weren't anybody that was from the University of Michigan from day one. We all know that. Uh-oh. Thanks to my guy, Danavis. Stand by. All right, we're going to have some fun here. Ready? The 2026-2027 schedule is here. Guess what? We're going to start with the champions, because I need to, and this is going to be good. Oh, no, what happened here? No, let's, hold on. Hold on, guys. Hold on. All right, I may cut out and not. Hold on a second. Sorry about that, guys. Oh, look at I got it split. We don't want to do that. Hold on. There we go. Yeah, I had to drop and. Well, Ray, I got news for you. Why isn't this going away? Oh, jeez. Hold on. Yeah, I'm having an issue with the laptop here, so bear with me for 1 second. Let's do this. You want to do that? You want to? Yeah, I don't know if I was coming in rather, if I was lagging or coming in slow. Yeah, let me just open up this page, because I had the, here we go, schedule release. Thank you. The schedule is out for the Knicks. Here we go. You ready? I'm not gonna go through every game, people. I'm just gonna, you'll see where I'm going with this. Oh no, hold on a second. Yeah, we know about that game. Yeah, they only have, I guess, 3 o'clock. Ray is right. The novice, I appreciate that, but yeah, they only have the games that I mentioned. Opening night Sixers, Friday against the Celtics in Boston, the following week in Philadelphia to start off the Cup nights there, the East Group B. They play the Pacers, Indiana on the road November 13th. They do have the Cavaliers coming to the Garden on November 25th. That's before Thanksgiving. And then Friday, they host the Heat Cup night. And we know about the Spurs. And they also host the T-Wolves on Martin Luther King Day. Yeah, that's all I got so far. I was hoping it was the whole schedule, but it's not. Let's see. Hold on. Did you see Vrabel word salad when he was asked questions about Rossini? No, I missed that. Oh, jeez. See, here's the thing about. I'm surprised he didn't. Listen, I didn't watch. I didn't see. He didn't take the Belichickian approach of no comment or next question. Listen, he should just say, I screwed up. And I understand he said that in a roundabout way once this whole thing came out. And he's, I'm going to go seek help and blah, blah, blah. This is after he got caught with the photos and all that, which is a joke. And who am I to say? I'm not the morality police. But, yeah, it is one of those things that I do want to see and how he screwed that up. Oh, here we go. All right, I do have the first couple of months here. Again, thanks to the novice. All right, so Philly, Boston. All right. Yeah, so far it's harmless from what I see so far with the schedule. All right. Yeah, let's see. I got so far the first 2 months of the Knicks schedule is there's no San Antonio. Let's hope they don't play in early December. I think that first game has to be at the Garden. Because if they're going to play before then, I would hate it. Oh, here we go. Chicago, Milwaukee. Those are all road games, huh? Oh, because those are the NBA Cup, right? All right. So based on what I see here, the schedule is out. Thanks to the novice. The first matchup between Knicks Spurs is Christmas. And based on what I see here, March, huh? Yeah, that's a Sunday night NBC game. They're, in fact, in the middle of a road trip at that point. They play Dallas, San Antonio, then go to play the Clippers and Lakers. A song, Christmas Day, they're going to play. Yeah, Ray, I hate that the game's at 12, though. Hate it. All right, let's see when they play Philly again after playing twice in the first week of the season. February 11th. I need my glasses in the worst way. You see, that's ABC, right? Yeah, the schedule makers, this was terrible. And if you know, the All-Star break is the week after the Super Bowl. And, by the way, people, for those who have significant others in their lives, just as a reminder, and I'm sure you're going to hear this a few more times between now and then, Super Bowl Sunday, SoFi, Super Bowl 61, AFC versus NFC, Valentine's Day. Good luck. My wife's already told me. So the next time after October 20th and 30th, the Sixers, Knicks, ready for this? Thursday, February 11th, and then they play, and that's a prime game, and then they play February 27th at home, ABC. So the game in Philly, February 11th, prime, and February 27th, ABC. So you're not going to see him in March or even early April. Who they close out the season with? Actually, close out against Indiana. And they play the Celtics, NBC, April 4th. That should have been the Sixers there. I mean, come on. And they play the Celtics also. Look at that. So the Celtics host the Knicks October 23rd. The first time you'll see the Celtics in Madison Square Garden for next year? No, not November, not December, not January, not February. March 14th. And then you're going to see them April 4th. After October 23rd, the next time you'll see the Celtics and Knicks play will be in Boston. When? January 13th. Now, I don't know. Could they meet up for an NBA Cup? But at the same time, who cares about the NBA Cup? Yeah. I got to see this word salad with Vrabel that you're referring to. And San Antonio, as I mentioned earlier, they play the Knicks in San Antonio on March 7th. Oh, how that game should be Christmas night. Anyway, the novice, you are the man. Thank you. I appreciate that. And let me see what else we got here. Oh, Waffle Line, I see this. I know. I'm frustrated. Got to work harder. But the thing is that if I get to 4,000 before February, if I get to 4,000, funny enough, on February 26th, shout out to you, the novice, I could be grandfathered in. So it's not like, let's say if I get to 4,000 on the 26th, then I'm good. But if I'm at 39.98 and it's February 27th, then I got to get to 8,000. Oh, my God. I don't know why they did that. Well, I kind of know why, but Dodgers, $2.5 billion profit makes Ohtani's contract look like a joke. And he didn't even have it for a year. Or if he did, I know you said 14 months, but it wasn't official in October. Based on what I read. I mean, come on. The 1%, I tell you. Val, is the guest Ray today? What makes you think that? And Ray, a song Christmas Day, they're going to play. Oh, that game's at 12 o'clock. I still can't get over that. Ay. Am I making a big deal out of that? I mean, come on. For everything I just said, we shall see. But anyway, so I'm glad. Now, if that's the case, let me see Celtics schedule. Is that out? NBA.com. Oh, I think it is out. Well, let's see. Let's pump the brakes. These damn cookies, get out of here. No, they don't even have it out yet. Come on. They have the preseason, but they don't have the regular season just yet. All right. So be it. Now, wait a minute. What is this? All right. Yeah, baseball now. All right. Yeah, I saw something there for a minute. I was like, what? Oh, what? Okay. Yeah, Waffle Iron, I hear you. I mean, it's, and I don't know what Mark Walters' deal is, but I'm sure it's a situation where who knows? Whether it's the legal issue that he's going through right now, but if he has enough money, I don't know. It's crazy that he decided to decided to sell off his share or sell off the team completely. I'm actually looking at the Spurs schedule, which I believe the novice sent, but this NBA Cup deal, nobody cares. All right. What else I got for you people? I guess that's it. I'm waiting for our guest to join us, which will be in a matter of seconds. I know he's got a few things he wants to get off his chest, so I want to give him the opportunity to do so. Right, I'm just going to pretty much hand the floor off to him, and he will have at it. The people should have the right. Purchase Lake is not Disney. Yeah, I tell you. You know what's interesting about that, Waffle Iron? You're right about that. And let's see. We have our guest there, but I just want to make sure he's squared into the camera. I want to make sure that we see him fully. We don't want him to get too close there. But the people should have the right of first refusal. Yeah. Well, in a case like Iger, because he owns Disney, but yeah, I mean, and that's the thing about Iger. Iger, is he not? He's not even on Disney anymore, is he not? Wasn't he waffling back and forth? No pun intended. But anyway, all right, let's get to it. Big fan, obviously, talking about his beloved Knicks for the last 2 months. He has some things he wants to get off his chest. Obviously, I need to give him the platform to do so. So none other. Let's see if I know this back. Your back, what you call it, could be bright, but that's all right. We'll see what we can do here. Ray Condi, everybody.
What's up, everybody? How everybody doing?
Everybody's good. Everybody's great. Great to see you.
Yeah.
And what's in your mind? Obviously, you're representing the Yankees there, but I know you're get off your chest. So, what do you have?
First of all, the trade deadline was absolutely terrible. Here I am sitting at home thinking that the Yankees were gonna go after catcher period because Austin Wells has been stinking up the joint. Even though he's been playing good for like the past 2 weeks or what, I think he's hitting like above 250, which is now for this Major League Baseball. That's okay. That'll get you called up to the big league.
No, go ahead, Ray. Go ahead.
That'll get you. Nowadays, that'll get you called up to the big league. But when I was growing up, that wouldn't even get you a sniff.
That's right. And even though, like you said, Wells has played better, but it's still here's the thing. He could play better now, but if he's in the lineup in October and he stinks up the joint again, everybody's going to want to run him out of town. That's the only problem.
I wanted to run him out of town last year because he's good. He's good at the ABS challenge as a catcher.
Yes.
But he stinks as a batter. Like he can't tell the difference between a ball and a strike.
And right, and he's the catcher. You would think, right? It's incredible.
Yeah. My question that had for you is, how do you feel about the ABS system? Does it work? Does it work for you? Do you like it? Dislike it? How do you feel about it?
Listen, I like it. I mean, the umpires have been exposed. I know the last week, how many umpires missed a ton of calls? And it's a thing where players have to be a little bit more wise to use the system. I mean, you got guys in the first inning that are tapping their helmets. Like, well, what are we doing? Now, listen, if it's egregious, that's one thing. But there are guys that you could get up top of the first inning and literally the fourth pitch of the game, they're going to the helmet. I mean, yeah, exactly. You want to save that because if you lose a challenge there, then that means you really got to hang on to that second challenge. Obviously, once you get later in the game, ninth inning. But yeah, I like it though.
I think I was watching the Dodgers. Yeah, I can't remember if I was watching the Dodgers. I was watching somebody yesterday because I got the package to where I could watch all the games.
Nice.
I think I was watching whoever the Dodgers were playing. Andy Pocket challenged a call that you could clearly see was a strike, but he fell. But it caught the middle of the plate. You could clearly see that it catches the middle. Now, you know I'm not a Dodger fan. I think it's gonna end up being Dodgers Yankees in the World Series. The only reason I say that is because the American League is not that strong.
Right.
I was sitting here yesterday thinking about, wait a minute, if my team, excuse me, I said we, because I know you hate the Yankees, and
that's fine. I know you're referring to you and the Yankees, not us and the Yankees. But go ahead, you got it.
Like if we get our pitching right, we can match up. We can match up against anybody. Like I think we could go toe to toe with the Dodgers, but the only problem is, can we score? Because I think the pitching is gonna be fine. I'm sorry about the birds. There's nothing I can do about that.
No. We can hear them in the background, but no, it's all good, Ray. That's fine. No, go ahead.
Like I said, I think Max Lee, Garrett Cole, Cam Sliller are the best pitchers in the American when healthy. And to me, I'm not saying that because I'm a Yankee fan. It's when my eyes is what I'm watching. Now, granted, I understand he's coming off Tommy John surgery, but we all knew it would take him a couple months. It would take him a couple months to get his feet under him. And I want to push back on something you said. I believe it was last week, Monday, where you said you don't trust Garrett Cole in the big spot.
Yes.
When healthy, I trust him, because if it wasn't for Game 5 of the 2024 World Series, him not covering first base, if he ends up covering first base, I think that changes everything. Yes, I understand. Aaron Judge dropped that fly ball, and everything went to shit after that. Alright. Funny thing is, I almost went to that game.
Oh, really? Interesting. Well, now here's my counter to that. If you said that if he didn't cover first base, where obviously that was a play Mookie Betts. So why couldn't you get out Freddie Freeman? Why couldn't you get out Teoscar Hernandez? And I understand it was Freddie Freeman and Teoscar Hernandez, but if Garrett Cole is that guy, he should have been able to. And I'm sure, who knows, maybe he was mentally shot knowing that he didn't cover first base and therefore gave up the hit that made it 5-3 and Teoscar also. But yeah, he had a chance to get out of that inning and he didn't.
I think he was mentally shot. Like that Aaron Judge play knocked him off course, because if excuse me.
Bless you.
If he catches that ball, that's a whole. If he catches that ball, I think it's a whole different ball game.
You know, it's so funny you say that, Ray, and I understand that, but I think that was the first batter of that inning, or maybe it was the second batter. But to me, if he covered first base, it's 5-0, and who knows what happens after that. So, and that was the second. That would have been the third out of the inning. So to me, him not covering first base, obviously that was the biggest play of the game, because then that's when Freeman got the hit to make it 5-3, and then Teoscar then made it 5-5. And not to bring up those bad memories, but here's the thing I'm going to break down for you.
No, that's okay. See, because I could always counter with, I call myself the curse of the New York Mets, because they haven't won since I was 5 months old. So there's my counter to that.
That since you were 5 months old. All right. Okay, no, that's fine. Listen, the Mets are, as we all know, they're a complete disaster. But here's the thing. Here's where I counter. I know you said Garrett Cole. As far as his career as a Yankee in the postseason, the wild card game against the Red Sox, what do you go, 2 2/3?
Yeah.
Not good.
Not good. Not good at all. But we have those. I think the Yankees could get out of the American League. Now we're gonna have to see if they're able to get out of them. Because who knows? They may not even play the Dodgers. Although I don't trust Milwaukee, I don't trust Atlanta, I don't trust Chicago, so I guess it is LA. I'm like, I don't trust who's beating the Dodgers.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
Who's beating the Dodgers? And the question I've been dying to ask you, and I believe in the 1996 World Series, who did you hate more at that time? Because remember, the Yankees hadn't won yet, and the Braves had gone back to. That's one of the times that they had gone to back to.
Yeah, because they won in '95. Yep.
Yeah.
So wait, who did I hate more?
Yeah.
Oh, the Yankees. I was rooting for the Braves.
Wow, as a Mets fan, but that's especially back then. I, I'm not. I, I'm not. I'm not surprised you. I'm not surprised you said that though, but I kind of am.
Okay. Well, here's the thing, Ray. I could do you not one, I could do you two better. In 99, when the Mets lost to the Braves in the National League Championship Series, and remember, that was the heyday of John Rocker. And everybody,
Yeah.
listen, I
Yeah.
can't stand John Rocker. No Met fan, please. There isn't, maybe even a baseball fan alive that likes John Rocker outside of Atlanta. And even when they played against the Yankees in 99, I still rooted for the Braves. That's number one. After beating the Mets, by the way, and Chipper Jones killing us and winning the MVP that year. And then number two.
Yeah, I know. But just think about it. It could have been back-to-back Subway Series had
Right.
had you been Atlanta. But I'm sorry to say, you weren't being the 2000 Yankees. You could have gotten swept, but I think the Yankees said, no, we can't we can't sweep the Mets. We gotta give them a game. Cause you honestly should. I'm just not saying that because I'm a Yankee fan. I'm saying that because I saw the whole series, and from what I saw, you guys had no chance, right?
Well, you know what? The games were actually closer than they were. I mean, think about it. We were up 3-2 in the ninth inning of game one.
I know, and like I said a few weeks. What happened to my picture here?
Hang on a second. Yeah, I'm actually looking at baseball. No, I still see you.
All right. I thought I cut out for a second.
All right.
But what I was saying, well, I guess the games were if you win game one and Timo actually runs hard when Dazio hits the double off the wall.
Yep.
I think that changes the whole game around. And this is coming from a diehard Yankee fan.
Right. No, yeah. No, that Timo Perez play, I'll never forget it. I mean, I thought it was gone at first. And then when I saw it at the top of the wall, I said, that didn't clear. And then Timo, of course, was Cadillacing around second into third. And then he put on the Jets and he was thrown out of the plate.
He was lollygagging. I call it lolly. Because I go back and watch the replay, and I'm like, what is he doing? Because if you think about it, it's off I think that ball hit the top of the wall, did it not? And came back down.
Yep.
And I don't. Was he even at third base? Like, I think it was just rounding third when Jeter caught the ball.
I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and the other gripe I have with the NBA, this schedule making is like ridiculous. Like,
tell me why? What happened?
Because the Spurs and the Knicks should have been open tonight for the simple fact that I want Wemby to sit there and stare while my New York Knicks are getting their rings. Like, I think it makes for good theater. And like I said in my video that I made yesterday, I said it would have been good theater for Wemby to sit there and see Jalen Brunson and the boys get their rings and be like, damn, that could have been me. That could have been our team.
You know what? I can see that, like you mentioned, for good theater, but I think that they wanted to save that game, especially at the Garden.
But
That's
I
not a
think
bad thought, but I know that to think you're going to have the Spurs come in opening night, and then that's it. You're not going to see them the rest of the year, which I get your point.
I would still put them on Christmas. I would still 100% put them on Christmas.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, Christmas for sure. But the thing is that I'd want that game in the Garden on Christmas as opposed to San Antonio, which obviously they're doing. I just hated that it's at noon. That game should have been in prime time.
I think both games should have been in prime time. Why would you put a Nobody cares. Don't take this the wrong way. Nobody cares about the Celtics and the Pistons, especially at that time. Who's going to be watching basketball at 3:00?
No, I hate that game is being played at 3:00. To me, it makes no sense.
That's no insult to your team. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
No, I got you. No, but I agree with you on that point too. I mean, it's just like, why even do that, considering that everybody's going to want to see that banner go to the rafters. And I understand nobody's going to tune in to watch that game. I mean, seriously, other than the people in Boston and Detroit, nobody else is going to watch that game. And I think it's on Peacock. It's not even on NBC, where the Knicks and even the nightcap, the OKC, I believe it's OKC San Antonio, is also on NBC. So
why not put it at 5:30? Because I heard you mention the other day, why not put it at 5:30?
Oh, you could do that too. But here's the thing. They put the Lakers there at 5:30, which they normally do put them at that time. But you also got to remember Rams, Seahawks. Now, the game, I believe, is in Seattle. But to have the Lakers, let's say, at 8:00 to go along with the Ram game, nobody's going to watch the Laker game. So they put the Laker game 5:30, and then prime time is Oklahoma City.
Are we even sure Luka's going to play? Because Luka's the only star on that team now. LeBron wanted out because he wants to win his 5th ring, which still doesn't make him better than. And this gold debate for me, by the way, with LeBron James, stopped for me in 2011.
Against Dallas.
I'll give him a pass. 2007, that was a baby LeBron. They weren't being that Spurs team.
You're right. Yep.
There's no way they were beating that Spurs team. Absolutely no way.
I agree.
If you're gonna try to convince me, if somebody were to tell me that LeBron James and that Cleveland Cavaliers team was beating that San Antonio team, I got a bridge in Brooklyn I could tell you.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no way that was happening.
Right.
And now, what do you think about John Harbaugh coaching my New York Giants?
Listen,
what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, they needed to get a shot in the arm. They needed a guy like that. I don't think Harbaugh's a good coach in my mind. Okay. Now, who knows? Maybe his act got tired in Baltimore, so with the Giants, it could be different. But I understand he won a Super Bowl. I get that. but I even know Raven fans who had said prior to his dismissal that he should have been fired 3-4 years ago. And that's it. But who knows? It's a new team, new hope. He's got a situation where he is right now. I'm not gonna say he's a rock star, but because of this new slate, the Giant fan is pumped up. They're ready to go. But we're gonna see as we get into the season whether or not he's gonna be the guy that's gonna lead us to the promised land.
I say they could finish with maybe an 8-9 record. Maybe. Because I think he'll have him ready to play. He won't. Like, I think they're always going to be ready to play. Now, will that translate into a lot of wins? Is the NFL. Like,
Right, we have to wait and see.
I hate to use this cliche. I'm sure you know where I'm going with this. And any given Sunday, anything could happen.
Yep.
But we're gonna. I think they could finish with an 8-9 record. Can they get the 9 wins? Yeah, I think so. But it's gonna take some luck.
Oh, absolutely. And the quarterback has to stay healthy, as you know, because he can't run the risk of getting injured and getting hit.
For me, Jackson Dart runs way too much. He needs, even though, don't get me wrong, I know that's part of his game. And he said in an interview that I'm not going to change the way I play. And I respect it. But if you want a long career,
yes, he's got to know when to slide.
Yeah, I don't think you'll ever learn how. Like, because if you remember, I don't know if you were watching this game when Dable went into the 10th and was like, "Yo, I need my quarterback. Is my quarterback good to go?"
No, yeah. Was that against? That wasn't a Denver game, was it?
I don't remember which game it was.
Maybe against Denver. And that was a brutal loss. I never forget that. Yeah.
I don't. Can you still hear me?
Oh yeah, no, your audio has gotten low. I hear the birds, but I don't hear you.
No, my phone was ringing. I'm letting it pass. Give me one.
Oh, maybe that's what it is. Yeah, because somebody's contacting you, so therefore it's cutting your audio.
Give me.
No, so not yet.
Hold on.
There you go. Now we got you.
All right. Sorry about that. My phone was ringing and I couldn't hang it up, so I just let it ring.
That's fine.
My apologies.
No, that's fine.
So yeah, like and he got in trouble for doing that. If you remember, there was a whole investigation for him.
Yeah, because Dable, absolutely, because Dable had wanted his quarterback out there because he knew that his job is on the line. He had to get him back out there. He wasn't going to go to his backup at that point. And which obviously that's coaching malpractice. You can't do that. You got to go by what the doctor's going to say. If this guy's cleared to play, then fine. If not, then he's got to sit out or he's going to have to go to the locker room. But yeah, Dable knew that, he tried to get his guy out there because he was going to be on the firing block. And sure enough, he was shown the door at the end of the season.
But if you remember correctly, I've seen a lot of football in my life. I've never seen a coach do that. He literally poked his head into the thing and was like, "Yo, is my quarterback ready?" Like, come on.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, not good.
Like it's crazy. it's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, mm, coaches gotta think, man. Like, mm,
Yeah,
but,
no, they do. They should know better. They shouldn't just go ahead and think that they're bigger than the team in order to bring this guy out there. Because what if he gets hit again and he gets knocked into submission and then that's it?
yeah, yeah. Then his career could possibly be over. Because all it takes is one solid hit, and your career could be done.
Over. That's it. Just like that.
Uh, Demar, Demar Hamlin, perfect example.
Yep.
Um, it's it's a miracle that the man could even walk.
Yep.
And I, 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 I remember watching that game, and I'm like, he's not moving. Uh,
Yeah,
and I
Monday night.
remember ESPN refusing to show that replay.
Yep. No, of course.
What do you think about your guy Aaron Rodgers coming back for another season with your new head coach Mike McCarthy? Thoughts on that?
Well, as far as Rodgers, I mean, this is his last go around, and the Steelers, for whatever the reason, they knew that they were gonna. Now they drafted a quarterback in the third round, and it was a situation where he wasn't going to start. They knew that Rodgers. They were waiting on his final word, no matter how long it took, and even with McCarthy back there, which helped because McCarthy and Rodgers spoke before he made his final decision on whether to come back. So to me, listen, if he stays upright and the offensive line, which is young, which should be good, is able to be cohesive and stay healthy, they could have a good season. Now, what does that mean? Another 10-7, a 9-8? Do they win a division? I don't know. Probably not, because Baltimore is going to be good, and people think the Bengals are going to have a bounce back year. So, and McCarthy, listen, that was a safe pick if you ask me. He's from Pittsburgh. He knows his way around the area, knows the climate of the fan base, etc. But does that automatically mean that McCarthy's going to come in there and start, winning games or winning divisions? I don't know. So, to me, we shall see.
Like, it's I was growing up, that is fan, Yankee fans used to get compared to Dallas fans because it's and me growing up, diehard Giants fan, because of my grandpa, because my grandpa was a big Giants, Yankees, Knicks. That's
the original teams, yeah.
Like that, and we used to sit down, watch. And he used to explain to me, this is what you're throwing. That's why I know so much about the game. Because he used to sit down and explain to me, this is what they would do in this situation. This is how they would handle that situation and stuff like that. So,
no, I got you, Ray.
My love for sports came through my grandpa, who's no longer with.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Sorry.
But yeah. Do you think? I know Don Mattingly currently in Philadelphia. Do you think the Yankees would ever hire him back, or do you think because Cashman is in the front office? Because I read somewhere the reason he doesn't come back because not ownership of who's currently run uh, in charge of. Because I, I've,
No,
al-
I
I've
know what you're
always,
saying. No, I think that I don't think they're going to go there. Listen, if Boone gets fired, listen, if he goes to a World Series, Boone isn't going anywhere. I believe, what is he? Isn't he in the last year of his deal? I got to look that up too because he could be a lame duck. But yeah, I don't think
he's,
they're going to go to Mattingly. I think they would have done that a long time ago, and because they haven't, they're not going to do it. At least in my eyes. So, and of course, he is the manager.
Aaron Boone deal's done in 2028. His contract is up. I'm pretty sure it's 2028.
Yeah, it says he signed through 2027. Yeah, which
Yeah.
he's not going anywhere. They're not going to find. Listen, if they don't make the playoffs, which that's not going to happen, they're going to make the playoffs unless they get bounced in the first round or the divisional series. He's not going anywhere.
They're going to make the playoffs because it's the American League.
Right, and that too. So. But
yeah, let's be honest here. They're going. Now, like I said earlier, I think and they could get out of the American because I'm not scared. Can you look up? Because I can't look it up right now. If the playoffs started today, who's in? I know it's the Yankees.
Oh yeah, that's. I got you right here, Ray. Tampa would be the 1 seed. Chicago, the White Sox would be the 2. Houston would be the 3. Yankees 4. Red Sox 5. And right now it'd be Texas. There's your American League playoff picture. So there'd be Yankees, Red Sox first round, and then Rangers, Houston in the other wild card.
And I'm being honest, as I look straight into the camera, none of those teams scare me. You can none of those teams scare. Like,
no, I agree.
I know. Yeah, I know that there's a saying you can't predict baseball, but none of those teams in the American League scare me.
No, and they shouldn't. And right, if I was a Yankee fan, I'd feel the same way. So, Ray, what else? I'm going to give you one last one before I go. Anything else you got for me before I sign off?
That it's gonna be a fun basketball season. I can't believe I get to say to start the season. You're defending NBA champion New York Knicks, which, by the way, I never thought in my entire life, because I would ask myself every single year, with the New York, would I ever see?
Yeah, no, and you could say that now until we get to opening night and throughout the rest of the year until we get to next June.
I think I'm saying for the rest of my life.
No, you absolutely. And even listen, you could say it for the rest of your life for sure. And obviously you have from now until next June, unless they repeat. But right, this is one that you'll remember forever, even if they don't win again, as long as you're alive. So that's good, Ray. But
I don't have no problem with you posting this. I was gonna ask you to post this. Yeah.
All right, Ray. No, I appreciate that. And yeah, I got to see what I do once I finish editing and stuff. So, Ray, listen, it's a pleasure to finally get a chance to meet you here. And obviously, we live in the same borough, so I'm surprised you haven't bumped into one another, but I'm sure we'll cross paths at some point. I appreciate you hopping on board. Thank you so much. And listen, enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see how the Yankees going to fare.
All right.
Have a good one, Ray.
How do you close this thing?
No, don't worry. I got you. Hang on a second. Yeah, because now I got this thing that's popped up with Facebook. We're having trouble streaming. Oh, okay, this may be an issue on Facebook's end, blah, 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 whatever. Yeah, because also stream to Facebook too, whatever. So that's what you got. There's Ray. What can I tell you? Obviously, he's a diehard fan of his teams, as you should, and very knowledgeable, very good sports fan. So kudos to Ray for jumping on board. I appreciate that. That'll do it, my good people. Another episode just around the books as always. Thank you so much for stopping by, carving out precious time out of your day to listen to what it is I have to say about what goes on in the toy department of Life Called Sports. And if you haven't done so, please subscribe, rate, review on the channel at JReels on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Throw me a few stars, write a review. I greatly appreciate it. If you want to hit me up with any questions, comments, suggestions, you can do so at the following on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, the JReels Podcast, or just JReels on Instagram. Twitter, JReels1, just a number. Twitch, JReels1, just a number. Or the old-fashioned way, the JReels Podcast at gmail.com. I'll be more than happy to follow up with you guys and gals, because whether you do or do not know, I got you, Val. This is what I do. In the blood, in the DNA, talking sports is birth. And if you couldn't hear the fire, passion, energy, fury from my voice earlier, well, you're just going to have to come back on Monday when the next podcast will come your way. And with that being said, I'll be in contact with everybody in reference to our little town hall. We will do that for next Thursday, but we got plenty of time between now and then, but I'll make sure to get that out there because one more time, as long as I sit in front of this camera and microphone, I promise I'll deliver nothing but the aforementioned fire, passion, energy, fury, my thoughts, opinions, critiques, praise, analysis, feelings on anything and everything. That happens on order the diamond, ice, gridiron, hardwood, golf course, racetrack, tennis court, boxing ring, octagon, you name it. From my lips to your ears, from my heart to your soul, from amps, wherever you are, the JReels Podcast always comes correct, directed, and full effect. From the South Bronx, the South Beach, the South Central, the South Pacific, and all points beyond, peace, love, and God bless everybody. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday. And until next time on the JReels Podcast, on the flip, baby. And Val, yes. Lastly, in for next Thursday where everyone gets together. Yes, I'll be in contact with everybody. We'll do that more so on Monday at the end of the podcast. We'll rehash that. We'll talk that over. And as always, I appreciate your participation, hopping on board, watching me. As always, much love to everybody. Until next time, on the flip.